Hi there, Starkravingchristian here on the 9th of October, and today we're talking about Doctor Who. Specifically, we're talking about New Who. The reason for this is I asked for some prompts on my Tumblr, and the amazing Seafaring Sarah gave me some really good feedback. By the way, she's an amazing artist, and you guys should all be following her because she's just makes you feel worse about yourself for how good she is. So, today I'm talking about New Who and my feels about New Who. So to start off with, when I heard Doctor Who was coming back, I was like, as a Doctor Who fan, vintage Who, I was really worried. I was really excited because I love Doctor Who and I was so excited for them to make more episodes on perhaps a bigger budget with the new special effects, and I want to see what they do with that. Especially the way that sci-fi has changed since Doctor Who. I think that it would be really interesting. But I was also really wary because it's Doctor Who. Admittedly, I'm not as much of an old Who fan as, say, He Calls Me Hepzibah, follow her too, or Agent-Squirrel, but I still loved it, I was a big 5th Doctor fan. I've seen most of his episodes, I've seen most of 4's episodes. I find it hard to get hold of a lot of old Who because I don't like downloading and Tasmania's not cultured. So I've seen as much as I possibly could and I really loved what I'd seen. So I was pretty excited. And then I started watching Rose and I was like, her voice. And then Eccleston said, "Nice to meet you, Rose, now run for your life." And I was like, ah! and then he said, "I can feel it. The turn of the earth, the ground beneath our feet is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour and the entire planet is hurtling toward the sun at 67,000 miles an hour and I feel it. And we're falling through space, you and me, clinging to the skin of this tiny little world. And if we let go, that's who I am, Rose Tyler. Now forget me." And I was like, yes, the Doctor is in. And then the next episode we met Cassandra, who became one of my favourite sort of characters in Doctor Who, and I still have a lot of jokes about her with people. And then there's Slovene, and I was like, I could save the world but lose you. And I was like, feelings! And she's like, do it! And just one of my favourite moments, one of my favourite Eccleston moments, and the most memorable one for me is when he's there going, narrows it down, narrows it down, narrows it down, because we still do that in my house, it's still a thing. I love it. And then the Dalek episode, and his face, and his fear, and what is he doing here, and then Rose touched it, and became alive, and all the feelings, and then she got trapped, and it was amazing. And then, Are You My Mummy? And oh my god, how good was that episode? How amazing was that? It was terrifying, and it just sort of like, wow. And we met Jack Harkness, who's one of my favourites, and I'm a big Torchwood fan now, but oh my goodness, Are You My Mummy with the gas mask, and the innocentness of the villain, like it was such an innocent thing, and I just felt that was so Who, that was such an amazing storyline, and so true to those ideas that it's not always a bad guy, it's just crossed wires, and that's brilliant, I love that. And the world doesn't end if the Doctor dances. How cool of a line was that? She was so cheeky and so into I loved Rose. And then Bad Wolf. And Bad Wolf. I mean, the feels about these 2 episodes. And Jack and the TARDIS and his face and that look in his eyes when you see every companion flash before his eyes. I don't know how on screen, but you just see it and every Doctor is within him and he's there and he's going, I can save this one. I can't get us both out of it, but I can save this companion. I can do this. I can save one of them. And I'm just like, and then Rose is like, no. And then she looked into the TARDIS, and Bad Wolf was just everywhere, and I was just like, which just leads us to Tennant. And this was so much closer to my Dr. Peter Davison, and as much as I love Christopher Eccleston, who was highly underrated as a Doctor, and he was a brilliant 9, I really love Tennant, and he definitely is my Doctor, which I know is very canon, but there you go. Rose's confusion in dealing with the regeneration, and Christmas being terrifying, and no, that's the Lion King. It was just, I was laughing and so involved before he became the Doctor to me, but he was totally there by the end of the episode, and that was just brilliant. And then there was Queen Victoria and Sarah Jane, and I cannot even begin the fangirling over that episode at K9. I was so happy. It was me the entire episode. I was just like flailing. It was amazing. And then there was Madame de Pompadour and You Can't Keep the Horse, but I'll let you keep Mickey. And it was hilarious. And Mickey's face when that was happening was just... And then there was The Impossible Planet and Satan's Pit, and then Tara Rose. Oh, she knows. I'm like, no, she doesn't know. You have to tell her. You have to tell her because we need to hear you say it because of the feelings that we are having. Oh my God. And then the Elton and Ursula episode, I loved it so much. It was so icky with the faces coming up his stomach and she's in the brick. And I still wonder how that works when she's just a face. And then Fear Her. What's your game? My Snakes and Ladders. Quite good at squash, reasonably. I'm being facetious, aren't I? There's really no need for it. I'm just like, oh. It's like just one of my favourite Tennant lines ever, and the delivery on it, it was just perfect. It was just brilliant. It's one of my favourite lines, and I just loved it, and it was so Peter Davison to me. It was so the Fifth Doctor, and, you know, even the other ones, it was just so in there, and such in that comedic timing of he's being facetious, and he knows it because he is smarter than everyone else on the planet, and I just loved that. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. And then Doomsday. There aren't words, are there, guys? I mean, if you've seen the episode, then you know. And you know. And feelings. And you just... Why are you talking about not your feelings right now? And now it's over and just can't, you guys. I just can't. I'm just not going to go there. Alright. And then, after that, there was Donna as the Runaway Bride, and just, oi, Spaceman. It was brilliant. I mean, such, the mate, not that kind of mate. Just like the mateship of them was just brilliant, and Christmas is really not Russell T Davies' favourite time of year, which I love, by the way. Christmas just being horrifying is just brilliant. And then we had Martha, who I didn't like, but come on, Shakespeare and the Daleks, and it's not a popular opinion, but I really like the evolution of the Daleks. The Lazarus Project was really good too, but I felt it was a bit close to home for Martha, and I didn't like how everything sort of centred on all Martha's family and stuff. I thought that was a bit... I just didn't like it. It just didn't work for me. But 42 was freaking brilliant. Loved it. And then Human Nature and the Family of Blood. He never raised his voice. That was the worst thing. The fury of the Time Lord, and then we discovered why. Why this doctor, who had fought with gods and demons, why he'd run away from us. He was being kind. Ugh. And then falling in love, that didn't even occur to him. What sort of a man is that? These two episodes are just so freaking good. Loved them so much. And one of my favourite pieces of Doctor Who memorabilia that I don't actually own came from this episode, which is the Journal of Impossible Things. How good is that? Just ask, oh Rilla my Rilla, who has it. Oh my goodness, so good. But you know what? As good as that was for this season, my money has to be on Blink. I love Sally Sparrow because life is short and you are hot. I mean, it was brilliant. I love that the Doctor wasn't as involved in it. I really like those sort of episodes. It's a little different perspective on the whole Doctor Who thing because we can get really sucked into that world, but when we do sort of forget it's meant to be our world too. And I just really loved Blink. The Weeping Angels are freaking terrifying. Just perfect. Nailed it. Well done. And then the Saxon trilogy. And I loved to end the series. And I really love the Master. He's a great villain. I mean, how could you not? The Time Lord Spar. I mean, it's brilliant. They've got the same abilities, the same brain going on. And and Sims was brilliant as the Master. Mind-blowingly good. And I was so concerned that they weren't going to bring him back. And I was concerned they were going to bring him back because if they brought him back, there'd have to be somebody else. And I didn't want there to be somebody else because I love the Master. And then... And then Time Crash happened, and Time Crash is one of my favourite mini episodes because you do have Peter Davison and David Tennant, which are my two favourite Doctors. Do recommend you go watch it. You can find it on YouTube, but only about 5 minutes of your time, and you will not regret it. I promise you. And then Donna came back, wonderful head and heart strong Donna came back in the fires of Pompeii, and her in that moment, and just knowing, absolutely knowing that she was going to save the Doctor like Rose had saved the Doctor. Because Martha didn't, I don't really feel that, she didn't really do much saving of the Doctor. I mean, like, the trilogy was brilliant, and I'm just going to leave that because I'm going to keep going because this is going to get stupidly long. It's already stupidly long. And this planet of the Earth, and of course a creature would be trusting for born with a brain in a hand. Well said. And the Doctor's daughter, and I hope we see Jenny again one day. And Agatha Christie, and I love that that mystery is actually a legitimate mystery. And the Silence in the Library and the Forest of the Dead are two of my favourite New Who episodes ever. The Vashta Narada. I love the Vashta Narada. They're a brilliant, 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 brilliant thing. Love them so, so, so very much. It's terrifying and brilliant. And, oh, I love it. And then the river, and what did she say in his ear, and how that was a big thing, and then Donna at the end when the guy is there, and he can't because he's stammering, and he's right there, and of course I mentioned the perfect man, and he's thinking, oh my god, but you're right there, please manage to say her name, for God's sake. Feelings, guys, feelings. And then the Doctor, Donna, and Rose, and saying goodbye again, and that effing gif on Tumblr, and if I find out who made it, I will come to your house and you will die in a fire, because she's there, like, you know the gif I'm talking about? You know the one, right? And she's there on the beach, and Matt Smith is there, how did you know it was me? And like, the TARDIS gives it away, and then the moment that he's still not you. And then the Waters of Mars, which was really, really good, except the end of it was not okay. The end of it where she like, and because she's like committed to the timeline, and chill, And then it gets sadder because Wilfred's sacrificing himself, and I don't want to go much, I'm not a fan of, but I do understand, and yeah, I was devastated that he was going. I was so devastated. And then there was Matt Smith, and brilliant actor and almost Doctor. I can't buy him as the Doctor. I feel like he's regressed and gotten too silly, and it sort of became the Amy and Rory show. But highlights: The Time of the Angels, Flesh and Stone, Vincent and the Doctor, Phil Nye and Vincent and the Doctor in general. I love it. And you know what? I would have been happy if the show had actually ended forever at the Big Bang, because it finished up so perfectly, and there's that real nice loop. But, you know, I would be sad because that's the last Doctor, but it would have been brilliant. I would have been happy with that as a fan. The Impossible Astronaut was all well and good, and the pirate thing was alright, but the Doctor's wife, you guys, the Doctor's wife, and Idris, written by the incomparable Neil Gaiman. And the rest of the season fell a bit flat for me, to be entirely honest with you, but I have to mention Good Man Goes Tour and Let's Kill Hitler, because Punching Hitler and locking him in a cupboard was pretty cool, Rory. I was so disappointed by the Asylum of the Daleks. You had all the Daleks in a room and you just made them say Doctor. Seriously. Seriously. You could have done so much. I felt like this episode with any other companion would have been amazing. And with Rory and Amy, it was really flat for me. I didn't think they engaged with the whole Dalek thing. The fear thing just wasn't... I just thought that any other companion would have been better, and I just thought you could have done more with my beautiful old Daleks. Because yes, and but it wasn't without its merits, you know, and Osmond was adorable. Eggs, stir, milk, bake. And as much as I don't like Amy and Rory's companions, the Alex Kingston's performance fell slightly flat for me. I really like the Angels Take Manhattan. The edge of the seat, how Amy and Rory left was just brilliant. Really loved it. I thought it was really fitting, and it was just so true. And I would love to know what they did with the rogue angel in the graveyard, but hey, whatevs. And there you go. Sarai on the New Who. In summary, Eccleston was perfect as 9, coming back from the Time Wars and travelling alone, really brilliant. He evolved well throughout season 1 before turning into 1010, and he was such a brilliant Doctor Who, keeping in line with history, and his part while growing, expanding, getting older, and if not wiser, then less self-centred. I loved him, and he's my favourite New Who Doctor. Matt Smith still isn't doing it for me, and it's an effort to watch the episodes, but I am excited for a new companion, and new Neil Gaiman episode this next season. And I probably offered on enough and embarrassed myself enough with a little fangirl flailing, and it's always 15 minutes, which I believe is my limit. So, hope you guys are having an awesome time. Please let me in the comments what you think about New Doctor Who, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye!